Let's go back to Italy, because I find it extraordinary that the early part of this book, which is little talked about in all the interviews that you've done, is kind of glossed over, but you were born into an actual full-blown cult.
Yes.
This is not the Church of England where people say hello. This is something called the Children of God. What is it?
Children of God was a cult. My father, who was from America, but he was like first generation Irish, and my mother was first generation British. They were in America and decided they didn't want to live there anymore. So they decided to go with this whole idea of starting a utopia, if you will. And what seemed like a good plan, like so many of these things, runs asunder. But the thing is when you get out of said cult, and everyone says, oh, it's so strange how you grew up. It's so strange how you lived. And I always think, no, it's strange how you do your life, because I see the cult-like patterns in yours as well.
Mm. You spent a lot of the time when you were a child feeling something that a lot of people don't feel, which I know, which is hunger.
Hunger.
You were hungry.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I was hungry at different times for different reasons. When I was 13, I was a runaway. I was homeless, and hunger became a constant then. And when I was much younger in the cult, they would feed you rice and milk to fatten you up if people were coming by to view the situation, so they could assess your thinness level to make sure you were healthy. Things like that.
Mm.
Yeah. But then later I became, God, doesn't this sound fun? Later when I was anorexic, before Hollywood, by the way, hunger, that's an interesting thing you've posed, the hunger thing.
Because it goes all the way through your life.
I had no idea until this moment. Thank you for just rocking my brain.
Once you'd escaped not just the institution, but your parents. So
Correct.
what happened next for you? How long were you living like that?
For almost about 10 months, 11 months, I was lucky. Within the first month, I was taken in by 2 amazing trans women and a stripper named Tina, and got taken to Tina's apartment in a town called Portland, Oregon, and proceeded to get dressed up like Charlie Chaplin and go dancing on gay nightclub stages and rule the nights.
Yeah.
So that's what I did for that year.
The queer community was your sanctuary.
The queer community was my sanctuary. These were my haven. These were my people. My first boyfriend had a long skirt and long hair, and I had short hair, and he wore more makeup than I did, and that's how that went.
So Hollywood becomes the destination for the person who starts out making art, who wants to make independent films, who wants to be something different, and you find yourself gradually pulled into that. How does that
quickly?
Well, yes, actually, very quickly in your case. How does that happen, and how does it feel? And do you have time to react as it's growing?
I think it happens. I was an extraordinarily beautiful young woman. I think that's how that happens. And I think I also had a very surly look and was very sad looking at that time. And maybe that's an undeniable combination to people that look for this certain it factor. I'm not sure.
Okay.
There is a certain it factor that comes with all of this. There's a certain thing of like, that people don't really talk about. Some people are just really, they have a third eye and can dance with the camera. Some people can hold attention. I'm the daughter of a cult leader. What was I supposed to be?
Yeah.
When I first came to America, I kept seeing a bumper sticker, and the bumper sticker said, "Subvert the dominant paradigm." I read it like, "Subvert the dominant paradigm." Paradigm. Subvert the dominant paradigm. Oh, I can do that. I don't know how, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that on my list. So I did.
Okay. So you ran away to escape forcible institutionalization.
Yes.
You were told you were a drug addict. You denied being a drug addict, and you escaped from the place that you were put. One of the things I found most shocking and powerful about that whole situation, and there is a a lot about that situation that is really fucked up, is that nobody came to look for you. And that was one of the saddest things about it. You had run away and nobody came to find you. Did you want to be found?
Damian, tonight is blowing my mind. It never occurred to me to think about it, to be honest with you.
Did you, though? I mean,
no,
did you want to be found by different people?
No, that's never occurred to me, not even until this moment, until you just said that. It never occurred to me to think about whether, because they wouldn't. I was discovered 2 weeks after my boyfriend was murdered. And I was homeless again. And I was 19. And I didn't want to be homeless. And this woman, that was just a side thought, and this woman came up to me and while I was crying on the side of the street in Hollywood and asked me if I was an actress and if I wanted to be famous. And I said no. And then my friend that was with me was like, "Are you stupid? Do you know how much money that'll be?" And then I thought, oh, I can get an apartment. I can get a flat. And eventually I wound up doing this movie.
Because it's this difference between being sexy and being sexualized. Earlier tonight, I was getting dressed and I was like, this bow tie is really tight. And the producer for the event, Kirsty, turned around and she said, yeah, walk in heels, like that to me. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It's not that,
I always wondered to men, I'm like, do you understand? We have a string that goes up our bottom, wires under our breasts, and things that we tilt forward on, and clutching tight things all over, and we're supposed to be in a good mood ever? What? Do you even understand how hard that is? This last year, it's been the most humbling and amazing experience meeting so many men and boys, and trans women and trans men, and everybody under the sun, women and girls, talking about their Me Too movement, or their own movement, which is, if any of them have ever said anything out loud, then they're as equal to an activist as me, right? So I've been humbled to hear so many more experiences from a lot of boys in the gay community. A lot of men in the gay community. I've been really humbled and honored that they've shared their story with me. And it's more than the media will ever cover. So I wish I could take a chip out of my head and show you guys that there is so much beautiful support, actually. And it's support for themselves, too. It's support because so many of us get hurt. And then we turn around and we hurt, or we become silently complicit in other people hurting. And that's just, I think society is really only as sick as its secrets. It's not that I want to see gay men do more. I want to see humans do more for all of us, because our lives are at stake.
You have had, a really tough ride with this book. You've been abused and you've been assaulted, but you've also had all these people contacting you and sharing their experiences. How do you cope with that, just as on a human level, just as a person?
Right.
Like, how do you cope with hearing all that trauma all the time?
It was, I'll be honest with you, it was really hard, Damian, personally, it's so triggering, and but at the same time, I'm super honored and proud, and I oftentimes, this is the first person these people have said this to. It's a lot to shoulder. There's a saying that they said in the cult, God doesn't give you more than you can carry. I guess I can just carry a fuck ton.